Part through the streets of downtown Phoenix, although our crews who've been monitoring this live feed from our newsroom tell us that it got quite tense moments ago over at the Arizona State Capitol, with the leaders telling the protesters to back it up. A number of the officers, the troopers, appeared to be in riot gear. There was a shouting match going on as it got even more tense right in front of the state capitol. But it looks like the police line is breaking up. A lot of the officers are walking away, just trying to give some of the protesters their space here. And as you see, the protesters seem to be on the march again.
And this is, again, a live camera. We are streaming this live, not only on air, but online. One of our crew members every once in a while has to take the camera off his shoulder just to walk safely through that crowd, not to incite any sort of response from the protesters. And again, it's been a very passionate protest. It's been peaceful so far. Got very tense down there at the state capitol with DPS troopers. But so far, this crowd has been marching peacefully through the downtown area for quite a while now. Started at 7 p.m. at City Hall. And Jared's City of Phoenix police officers, they actually blocked off all the roadways in the downtown area for traffic, and they allowed these protesters to take over the roadways like they did here over near the state capitol.
Yep, Washington right in front of the police department, and we even saw officers, uniformed officers, kind of holding back traffic, directing traffic to allow these folks to continue walking through the streets. I mean, let's be honest, during a pandemic, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, there's not a whole lot of traffic to disrupt down there anyway. But again, this march continues through downtown Phoenix tonight. This all sparked by the death on Monday of George Floyd, who was killed after an officer knelt on his neck up in Minneapolis.
And we do have news crews again right in the middle of this, but obviously their safety is utmost important to us. Looks like we're going to go live to Brianna Whitney, who has been in the middle of what was happening over at the state capitol. Brianna, go ahead.
Yeah, Yassine, this is a very fluid situation. There are a lot of emotions running high right now. I'm going to step out of the shot here. Hundreds of people still down here at the Capitol. We've had people screaming in our face. We have police in riot gear. And not only is Phoenix police down here, but DPS troopers have also come down in riot gear, parked outside the Capitol here. So we've seen police officers marching with their gear down 17th Avenue towards Adams. And if we swing the camera around over here, Chris, if we can swing the camera around over here, it looks like they're pushing the protesters down Adams, which would be heading more towards Phoenix police. So I don't know if you can see from where we are over here, but there is just a long line of protesters screaming with signs. They're walking, they're angry. A lot of people screaming, "I can't breathe," wanting to see more justice, obviously, for George, but also just to see fundamental changes within the police departments around the nation. I'm going to step out of the scene as we continue to watch this, but this is all being done with Phoenix police on either side of the protesters and in between the streets, too, trying to keep the streets open, but they have riot gear on. It is clear in about the last hour or so, once the protesters got to the Capitol, that things really started to escalate. People were screaming, they were getting in the face, they were charging at police officers, and that's when the situation really started to get a little bit more scary. So we are staying on the outside. Obviously, it is a very fluid situation. It is hot out here, and people are extremely angry. So we're going to keep staying out here, staying with the protesters from a safe distance away to bring you the news, but definitely a very active scene, a very active and emotional situation out here at the Capitol right now. Well, Scene, I'll send it back to you.
That is our Brianna Whitney reporting live over at the state capitol complex, and it looks like successful separation from DPS troopers guarding the state capitol complex and the protesters. Emotions running high, but again, this has been very passionate and so far very peaceful for all of those protesters as well as the police officers and the troopers involved.
Yeah, a tense situation tonight at the state capitol, peacefully dissolved.
Okay, it looks like we're going to go back to a live picture. It looks like one of our police units, Phoenix Police Unit, at one point got surrounded by protesters. It looks like the officers keeping calm. Looks like they're getting into that vehicle. We are keeping the sound off, some salty language happening down there at this point. But again, just a lot of people with some high emotions, not touching or damaging this police unit at this point.
Right. I mean, we have seen the worst happen in other cities where ambulances tonight were trashed. The entire, there we go. Things just escalated.
Just hit the back window out.
Yep. Now the officers have no choice but to get out and confront the protesters who, whoever did this, whoever smashed in the back window. I mean, we saw things escalate so much further tonight in Minneapolis. We've been hoping and watching this peaceful protest play out here in Phoenix tonight, hoping it would remain so. But that just took it to a new level.
Yeah, what will probably happen is they're going to be calling in for backup to try to de-escalate this situation. They were, the police officers, to their credit, they were leaving the scene. They have been helping those protesters keep them safe by keeping the traffic away from their marches downtown in front of City Hall, all the way down to the police department, and then over here at the state capitol. They were leaving the scene, but some protesters smashed out the back window of that police unit, and now those officers now responding. Here comes backup coming into the area. If this turns any more violent, we're going to want to get our crew out of that area. But right now, it looks like again, emotions running high here in downtown Phoenix, all over the death of George Floyd, the Minneapolis man that happened during a traffic stop on Monday.
And the organizer of this earlier today, he said this was the goal. We want policy reform and a justice system that is not paralyzed or hesitant to charge anyone with a crime, especially those sworn to protect and serve the public. So that is the person who organized this event, which has been peaceful for the last 2.5 hours. That appears to be pepper spray they're using.
Also, flashbangs have been reported in the area. This is, again, over near the state capitol complex. Jared, you mentioned they were walking down Washington, wasn't it? Headed away from the state capitol, where DPS troopers had a pretty tense confrontation, just a lot of yelling, but nothing violent. But it has turned a little bit now bad here, where they broke out, the protesters broke out the back window of one of the Phoenix police units.
And now we've seen a number of other patrol vehicles arrive there on scene, the backup, and the crowd is backing up, whether that's the result of the pepper spray that was fired or what, we just don't know. But again, we have several crews down there. We want to make sure they're safe as